years ago as a teacher and worked his way up to become an assistant principal, principal, director, and into his current position as our assistant superintendent of educational services. In his current role, he has led his team to achieve great things. Dan's fondest memories are those of being a wrestling coach and making a difference in his students' lives. During his time here, Dan created meaningful friendships and memories that will last forever, and for that he is very thankful. Dan and his wife Sally are looking forward to retirement, where they will be spending time in Colorado and Minnesota visiting family. Congratulations on your retirement, Dan, and thank you for all your hard work and contributions over the years.
I'd also like to present to you Mr. Daniel Miller, Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services. Mr. Miller, on behalf of the staff at Summit High School, I present to you and hereby certify that the students before you have met and many have exceeded the requirements set forth by the California State Board of Education and the Board of Trustees for Desert Sands Unified School District for a high school diploma certificate or course completion.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. On behalf of the Desert Sands Unified School District Board of Education and Superintendent Scott Bailey, I accept this class as graduates of the class of 2019. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's keynote speaker is Mr. Dan Miller. Mr. Miller was appointed by the Desert Sands Board of Education to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services in 2017. Prior to his current role, Mr. Miller served as the Director of Educational Services, Principal of Indio Middle School. Hey, this guy might have been one of your parents' principals. And the Assistant Principal of Indio High School. Did I say parent? I meant brother or sister. Mr. Miller also served as an English teacher at Indio High School, where he was also a very successful wrestling coach. Mr. Miller's career has been dedicated to the service of students and families of Desert Sands for 29 years. At the end of this month, Mr. Miller will be retiring from Desert Sands. Now, if that's not enough, tonight's keynote speaker also has strong connections to the community of Indio. Mr. Miller, are you ready for this? Attended Jackson Elementary, Eisenhower Elementary, Wilson Middle School, and Indio High School. I'm not going to do the math, but I can tell you this, Mr. Miller, he is Desert Sands. So without further ado, parents, family members, distinguished guests, friends, students, staff, and graduates, please give a warm welcome to this evening's keynote speaker, my mentor and my friend, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Mr. Dan Miller.
Good evening. Congratulations, 2019 Amistad graduates. Doesn't that sound awesome? Tonight's a big night, and I'm honored to share it with you. I love this community, and I have enormous pride in it. Almost 64 years ago, I was born right here in Indio. And Dr. G talked a little bit about my history here, but I lived most of my life about a half a mile just this direction. This ground right here was grape vineyards, and I remember sneaking into the fields and picking some of those grapes, trying not to get caught. So there's a lot of history here, and I am so proud of you and for what you've been able to accomplish. You know, growing up, I never really believed college was possible. I just felt I wasn't smart enough. Not only that, we really didn't have all that much money. Plus, there was just a lot I didn't know about college. You know, that whole mystery about college. Can you really compete? Are you good enough? Truth is, I was afraid of failing, the risk of failure. But who at one time in their life isn't afraid of failing? I think we all have experienced that, haven't we? Students, the truth is, ordinary people around you are doing extraordinary things all the time. It often goes unnoticed. I want to challenge you today to recognize those who are close to you for what they do, the sacrifices they have made, 2 or more jobs to make ends meet, often passing on their own interests to pay attention to you. How maybe they told you what you needed to hear, but not what you wanted to hear. Whatever you decide to do, imagine what it can be. Devise a plan. Have the courage to take action and the perseverance to stay the course during tough times. Just know that things happen. When they do, move on. Show up each day ready to make a difference. And wherever your path leads, remember to give back to your community and make this world a better place for everyone. Congratulations, Amistad Class of 2019.
Assistant Superintendent Dan Miller, who is retiring, we thank him for his service.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And loved ones. I'm Annabelle Bartlett, your class president of 4 years. I am honored and thank you to be standing before you one last time, because what of you?
Mr. Dan Miller, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
And as I stand before all of you, I would like to share that today is the day in which the PDHS class of 2019 evolves into beautiful butterflies. However, it is important.
And then I'm going to ask for our next guest to stand, Mr. Dan Miller. He doesn't know I'm going to do this. Mr. Miller is the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, but the reason I ask him to stand is he saved the best graduation for last. Of all the graduations, this is his last one before he retires, and I just want you to know how proud we are because he was a graduate of Indio High School. He was then a teacher at Indio High School, an assistant principal at Indio High School, and then he wanted to help Indio High School succeed, so he went to Indio Middle School as principal to help prepare students for Indio High School. And tonight, as my friend, I say congratulations as you retire as my Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, but more than that, as my forever friend and Raja, Mr. Dan Miller.
Liliana Palomares. Villagrana.
And graduates, please join us. So just know that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, whatever fate may bring, know that in this world there are 2 important truths. 1, you will always be a graduate of Indio High School, and 2, there are only 2 kinds of people. Those who are Rajas and those